Hello, my name is Morgan Saunders, and this is the Abandoned Athletes podcast. Each week we'll be talking to an athlete that was released by a professional club or agency, and the reason they were led to being let go. Hopefully, prevent you from facing the same fate, and overall give advice to help along the way. And this week, our focus is on football. According to a research conducted by the English FA, less than 0.5 of the players under age of 9 that are signed by a professional club actually go all the way to play for the first team. And in March 2013, a former academy player actually killed himself after facing severe mental health problems because of getting released from a Premier League club's academy. His parents actually said in an interview that before he was released, he was the happiest and the brightest child. So I knew there was plenty more to discover, and I had to talk to someone myself. Hi mate, how are you? This is John Fraser. He's 30 years old and currently playing his football at Thornton Cleveleys in the North West Counties Football League. But this wasn't always the case.
So just start at the beginning. Tell me, where did your love for football begin, basically?
It began just going on a field with my dad on Saturdays and kicking the ball, really. I think from young I always knew my dad was the footballer in the family. He wasn't a professional or anything, he just played football and loved it.
So what was football like as a kid for you, and transitioning into kid football to going into academy when you're a bit older?
Well, I actually started playing football quite late. I used to kick a footy on the street, but I can't say I knew anything about football. I didn't even used to watch it when I was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. So footy for a kid for me wasn't really anything massive. I think a lot of if you look at the professional game, a lot of kids start at 5 years old. A lot of kids who make it to the professional game are in academies before 10 years old.
And John was right. According to the Pro Elite Football Academy, players are learning basic techniques and how to use the ball from ages 5 to 7. As John started playing his football at 10 years old, he would have missed those vital years. In relation to the study, when John would have took up football, kids were already learning about drills and reading the game.
Then I played for a year up at Fleetwood Town, so I signed for the under-16s when I was 15. I played a year of playing at the age above. I played for Lancashire that year. I actually, at 14, I captained Blackpool Schoolboys. We got to the final of the counties.
Nice.
And then I played for Lancashire at 16. When I was at Fleetwood Town as a 16-year-old, so it's the year after, I was playing for the youth team then, so the under-18s. And at Christmas time, my former manager and ended up moving to Blackpool, and he took me with him to sign for the under-16s there. Our team, in our first year, we weren't the greatest, but the competitiveness of going from just playing footy because you want to play because your dad does it and your mates do it and it's a laugh and it's fun, to it's your job now and it's cutthroat and there's pressure and everyone's competing against each other. I wasn't ready for the hostility of that environment, I don't think. Was
there any point where you thought you could do it here, you could find yourself in a position where you are playing first team football regularly in a high league, in a high place?
To be honest, no. I think one of the things that really affected me as a football player was belief. I think in times of confidence, I could perform very well, but then that was very fragile confidence. You mess a couple of passes up and then all of a sudden your head's down. I think some of the players that have made it to the top level have the same technical ability of someone playing in League 2, League 1, but they've just got the mentality, they've got the confidence, they've got the sustainable confidence and self-belief to push through those hurdles.
And this is what I always hear when it comes to footballers becoming pro. It's one thing being good technically, but if you've not got that mental resilience to believe that you can go pro, then you'll really struggle. TGN Sports believe it's just as important to build up mental strength than it is physical strength. They have 3 categories that players focus on when building mental strength. The first being psychological preparation, and this is beyond physical training. Mental exercises that enhance concentration and communication are crucial for optimal performance. The next is emotional intelligence. So to recognise and managing emotions, especially in high-pressure moments, is vital. Good communication improves team dynamics and helps achieve collective goals. And the third and final category is resilience. Resilience enables players to overcome setbacks, including injuries, by maintaining a positive attitude and focusing on recovery. Strengthening psychological skills helps players stay composed and focused during challenges. Incorporating these mental practices into training will help players grow and succeed professionally.
What about like ability-wise? Would you say like you were matching them ability-wise, but because your head wasn't fully, in the same mindset as maybe other young people in that team?
Yeah.
Do you think that was the thing that set you apart?
For me, it's lack of consistency. So I could have days in training where I feel like the best player on the pitch. I could have days in training where I feel like I must look like I don't know how to play football. And so confidence is just a massive factor in it. Self-belief is a massive factor in it. When you're confident and you fully believe in yourself, your thought processes are clear. How your brain gets from one decision to another works a lot smoother without the friction of not believing in yourself. Because when you don't believe in yourself, the micro doubts come in, the negative voice in the back of your head of before I'm receiving a ball and thinking, don't miscontrol this, make sure you need to find your pass, don't lose the ball, constantly questioning yourself. It muddies the clarity, the decision making process. So I think on some days, I was as good as anyone in the team. Even those days where I've trained with the first team and trained really well, been effective. Not saying I was a standout player or anything, or they wanted to put me in the first team after a couple of training sessions, but I didn't feel off it. But then on those days where you're not feeling confident, you feel like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I even playing football? This is not for me. I'm not good enough to be here. I didn't really fit in socially with the team. There would be days where I made excuses to not go in my second year. Not all the time, but when I was doing that, I think at that time, I can remember the stress, just being in bed, being like, I just don't want to go. I don't want to be there. I don't want to feel stressed about football. Because I've gone from just enjoying it as a kid, even at 15, 16, it was never about go make it as a professional or, go compete at the highest level you can. It was just, I love football and I'm pretty decent at it. So I think that probably in my second year was looking back on it with hindsight, was probably those moments were the ones where I probably decided in my head, I'm not going to make it. I think if you believe you're going to make it in something, you don't need to take sick days.
Do you regret it?
Yeah. I kind of like my life. I'm not bitter about it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like, I could have made it. I could have made. I don't tell people I could have made it. I think I've got an interesting story within football, but regret is a strong word. I think I definitely would have done things differently.
Did you feel pressure to stay on the right path by anyone or by yourself? Did you put a lot of pressure on yourself?
Yeah, I mean, when you say the right path, I think it needs context a little bit. The decisions I was making weren't inherently toxic decisions. Like, I wasn't going out drinking. I wasn't being disruptive in training and being a nuisance. I wasn't being horrible to people or lashing out. I wasn't self-destructing, do you know what I mean? I just wasn't applying myself. So things like coming home from training and sitting down and playing FIFA for 3 hours and then going to the shop and buying sweets and chocolate and sitting in and watching films. When you're a footballer, you shouldn't be eating like that. You shouldn't be doing those things. I should have been recovering. I should have been working on understanding the game better. I should have been focusing on my nutrition. I basically just lived off like oven food.
So obviously after everything, you're playing football for Fulton Cleveland now. How do you view the sport after all your experiences now? Like, what's your perspective on football now?
Football now is like just a tool for. The way I see it is, it keeps me going week to week. So, training and football matches. Don't get me wrong. You can have a stressful training session. You can have a bad performance in a game, but I'm able to zoom out now a little bit and understand what it actually means for my routine, what it means for my mental health.
What's one bit of advice you'd give a young person aspiring to go pro?
I think this advice is relevant for any industry, for any career or job. If you want to get to the top level, you have to be focused. And I think focus is the best word, because focus means consistency, it means dedication, it means applying yourself, it means being a good person, it means conducting yourself right every single day around people and just for yourself. Like being focused on where you're going and what you want at the end, I think that is probably the biggest piece of advice. But understand what that means, break down what focus means for you as a young footballer. If your goal is to go be a professional and get paid thousands of pounds and play football full time, which is absolutely the dream life, be focused. Don't let yourself be distracted with the comforts of what you've already got.
And that was John. He wants you to focus on nutrition, focus on training, focus on match days, just focus on every aspect that it takes to be a professional footballer. And I think that's pretty good advice. If you have any thoughts or queries about today's episode, or you want to get involved at all in any shape or form, then please email me at abandonedathletes@gmail.com. And until next time, you've been listening to the Abandoned Athletes podcast. Goodbye for now.